The death of a loved one is a devastating blow that leaves scars no amount of time can fully erase. But when that loss happens suddenly, tragically, it shakes a family to its core, bringing unresolved issues, old wounds, and the weight of unspoken regrets to the surface. Imagine being thrust into a world where grief isn't just about mourning the person you lost. It's about confronting the fractured relationships and emotional distance you've been avoiding for years. That's exactly what happened to the Brown family. The death of Garrison, a beloved son and brother, set off an emotional storm that no one was prepared for. As the family comes together to bury their loved one, they're forced to face the painful reality that their grief is tangled with unresolved tension, regret, and the heavy weight of years of emotional neglect. For Cody, the father, this moment becomes a reckoning with his own failures, a moment when the grief over his son's death merges with a deep-seated guilt over the love he didn't give. The question is, can they heal? Or will this tragedy tear them further apart? Let's dive into the heart-wrenching reality the Browns are living through right now. The Brown family's journey has never been easy, but nothing could have prepared them for the heart-wrenching tragedy that rocked their world. The death of Garrison, a young man full of promise. Garrison's passing left a gaping hole in the hearts of everyone who loved him. For Cody and his wives, this loss didn't just bring the sorrow of losing a son. It triggered a cascade of emotions that no one could have anticipated. Grief, yes, but also guilt, regret, and old family wounds that had never truly healed. As the family gathers to mourn, the tension between them becomes undeniable. There are no perfect goodbyes here, only raw, unfiltered emotions spilling out in the wake of a tragedy. Cody, in particular, is burdened with the weight of feeling like he never gave Garrison the love and attention he needed. His regrets are palpable, and fans have been quick to voice their disappointment in the way he interacted with his son before his death. But it's more than just Cody's guilt. It's the quiet, unresolved issues between all of them. Cody, his wives, his children, that come to the surface in the most painful way possible. The funeral isn't just a time for saying goodbye, but a moment for reckoning. Hi, I'm Sophia, and welcome to my channel, TLC's Sister Wives Reality. If you're a fan of the Brown family and want to hear the inside scoop on their most emotional moments, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And drop a comment below to share your thoughts on this heartbreaking chapter in the Brown family's life. You won't want to miss what's coming up next. When tragedy strikes, the aftermath is never just about the loss. It's also about the deep, personal reflections that come with it. For Cody, the death of Garrison has been nothing short of a soul-crushing wake-up call. If you've watched the Brown family over the years, you know that Cody's relationship with his children has often seemed distant, especially with Garrison. The reality is, Cody wasn't the father Garrison needed him to be, and the guilt is eating away at him. There's no easy way to put this. Cody feels like he failed his son. What makes this even harder for Cody is the pressure coming from fans, many of whom are quick to criticize him for his emotional distance. They've noticed the moments of indifference, the missed opportunities to connect with his son, and the lack of affection shown during Garrison's life. It's hard to ignore the flood of comments and online backlash, calling him out for not being the kind of father he should have been. And honestly, Cody feels that judgment deeply. It's like a constant weight on his chest, the awareness that he didn't show up for Garrison the way he should have. And now, with his son gone, the opportunity for reconciliation, for healing, is lost. But here's the thing. It's not just about the fans' criticism. Cody's own inner conflict is what's truly heartbreaking. He wants to be a better father, a better man, but he struggles with the emotional distance he's created, not just with Garrison, but with his entire family. It's this tension between wanting to do better and being trapped by his own emotional barriers that makes his grief even more complicated. So, what do you think, guys? Do you feel for Cody? Can a father's regret ever be fully healed? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more insights into the Brown family's journey. Grief has this complicated way of stirring up not just sorrow, but also unresolved tensions, things that might have been buried deep within family members for years. And when you throw in the death of someone like Garrison, someone who was still young with so much potential left, those old wounds and unspoken issues come rushing back to the surface. That's exactly What happens with the Brown family? The siblings who've already been through so much suddenly find themselves at odds in a whole new way, despite the fact that they're all mourning the same person. It's heartbreaking to watch because, deep down, that grief can either pull people together or rip them apart. And for the Browns, it's a little bit of both. Take the siblings, for instance. They're not just dealing with the loss of their brother, they're also dealing with years of tension that have built up over time. There's no shortage of past conflicts and issues between them. Whether it's disagreements over how they were raised or their own personal struggles with their relationships within the family, everything gets magnified in the wake of Garrison's death. Suddenly, what should be a time for collective mourning becomes a battleground where old arguments flare up again, and the emotional walls everyone has built around themselves seem even harder to break down. For some of the siblings, it feels like they can't even grieve together without butting heads. There's so much emotional baggage that has been swept under the rug over the years, things that were never fully addressed or resolved. And now, when the family is supposed to be coming together to mourn the loss of Garrison, those old issues become an obstacle to any kind of true emotional connection. It's almost like their grief is too complicated by everything else. Instead of being able to hold each other up in their sadness, the family finds itself divided, with some siblings feeling alienated, misunderstood, and even angry at each other for things that happened in the past. But here's the twist. Grief also has this strange way of making people open up, even if it's just a crack. While the tensions certainly drive wedges between family members, it also brings out moments of vulnerability and honesty that might not have existed before. For some, the raw pain of loss forces them to confront their past, even if it's uncomfortable. For others, the pain of losing Garrison is just too overwhelming to let anything else in, so they cling to their anger, their disappointment, or their feelings of abandonment. Cody, for example, feels the weight of his failed relationships with his children more than ever. His role as a father is put under the microscope, not just by the fans, but by his own family. His emotional distance, his inability to be the father Garrison needed, is something he's forced to confront in a way he never has before. But does he have the emotional bandwidth to do it now? Can he heal the rifts within his family while still grappling with his own grief? It's like a delicate dance between wanting to fix things and not knowing where to even begin. What's so painful to witness is how, in the midst of all the pain, the family isn't necessarily growing closer. It's almost like they're trapped in their own cycles of resentment and guilt, and it's hard for any of them to step out of it. In the end, you start to wonder, can true healing happen when so much emotional baggage weighs down the mourning process? Or does the grief just add another layer to the hurt they've already been carrying for so long? I want to hear your thoughts, guys. Do you think the Brown family will ever break free from these emotional cycles? Can they really come together after everything that's happened, or are the cracks too deep? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to hit subscribe for more emotional updates on the Brown family's journey. Uncle Tim's eulogy stands out as one of the most poignant and surprising moments in the episode. It's a rare moment where the heaviness of grief is lightened, if only for a brief moment, by humor. And what makes Tim's eulogy so powerful is the way he blends both laughter and tears, something that, honestly, many of us struggle to do when we're in mourning. Grief can often feel so consuming that the thought of smiling or finding joy in a sad moment seems impossible. But Tim, in his wisdom and vulnerability, shows us that it's okay to laugh, even when our hearts are breaking. He delivers the eulogy with such sincerity, but also injects this perfect touch of humor, including a reference to the Princess Bride, of all things. It's an unexpected moment that breaks the tension in the room, and it's almost as if Tim is telling everyone, yes, we're all hurting, but Garrison would want us to remember the good times, the fun times, and the lightness he brought to our lives. It's a kind of emotional balance that is both refreshing and healing, but Uncle Tim's role goes beyond just offering humor. It's the way he brings wisdom and vulnerability to the table. In a family where emotions are often unspoken or held back, Tim is a character who isn't afraid to open up. He knows that grieving doesn't have to be one-dimensional. There's no right or wrong way to do it. His speech reminds the family and the audience that it's possible to honor someone's memory while also acknowledging the complexity of the feelings they left behind. In this way, Tim becomes a sort of emotional anchor in the family's turbulent sea of grief. His ability to offer lightness in the midst of sorrow is a gift, helping his loved ones find moments of connection and maybe even healing where they didn't think it was possible. The funeral scene is the emotional heart of the episode, a moment that is both a farewell and a reckoning. As the family gathers to lay Garrison to rest, the landscape of Wyoming becomes more than just a backdrop. It transforms into a sacred space, a place that holds both memories and a promise of healing. There's something about the vast, open plains and the quiet of nature that seems to lend a sense of peace, offering the family a rare moment of stillness in the midst of their grief. As they gather around, there's a sense that the act of burying Garrison's ashes is more than a ritual, it's a symbolic release. The family's collective silence speaks volumes. It's as if each person is holding their own quiet conversation with Garrison, remembering the moments they shared, the regrets they may carry, and the hope that somehow, through this ritual, they can find some peace. The shared silence, though heavy, also brings them together in a way words can't. In the absence of speaking, it's clear that they are all processing their grief in their own ways, but are united in this one act of love and closure. The location, Wyoming, holds significant meaning for the family. It's a place connected to Garrison's life, his favorite spots, his memories, and as they stand there, it's like they're honoring those parts of him that live on in their hearts. The beauty and stillness of the place seem to offer some form of closure, a feeling of finality that is essential for moving forward. There's something about the act of burying a loved one in a place that meant something to them that gives the family a sense of peace. It's as if they're planting something that will grow and evolve with their grief, helping them move from mourning to healing. Grief, while deeply painful, has the power to transform. It's a harsh teacher, but one that often leads to profound growth and emotional healing. For the Brown family, the death of Garrison becomes a catalyst for this transformation. Although the path to healing is far from linear, each family member processes their grief in their own way, and through this journey, we begin to see glimpses of personal growth. For Cody, the regret he feels is intense, and it manifests as a quiet but significant shift. Though he struggles with guilt over his past emotional distance from Garrison, there's a subtle, gradual realization that grief has changed him. The pain forces him to confront his own shortcomings, leading to a deeper understanding of what it means to be a father. As the days pass, it's evident that this experience is shaping him, pushing him to be more present in his relationships, especially with his children. Meanwhile, other members of the family are also finding their own paths to healing. The journey is anything but simple, and for some, it feels like an uphill battle. But there are moments of reconciliation, moments where the family begins to reconcile the hurt and fractured relationships that grief has laid bare. Parallel to the family's grieving process is Leon's journey of self-acceptance. Leon, who identifies as transgender and uses they-them pronouns, has always walked a unique path within the family. While the rest of the Brown family struggles to find peace in the wake of their loss, Leon's quiet, introspective nature is a reminder of the different forms of grief we all experience. Their journey is about acceptance, not just of Garrison's death, but of their own identity. As the family moves through their grief, Leon's story reminds us that healing doesn't come just from external validation, but from within. They are learning to accept themselves fully, a journey that mirrors the family's collective search for peace. In many ways, Leon's path is intertwined with the family's healing, showing how different struggles, grief, identity, acceptance can converge into a shared journey toward growth. In today's world, social media has become an integral part of how we process emotions and share our lives, grief included. For the Brown family, the death of Garrison is no exception. Many family members, especially Leon and others, turn to platforms like Instagram and Twitter to express their sorrow and reflections. While traditional grieving processes are more private, social media provides an outlet for public mourning that feels deeply personal, yet still shared with the world. For some, it's an opportunity to keep Garrison's memory alive, sharing pictures, quotes, or moments that remind them of him. It's also a way to connect with fans and followers, many of whom have followed their family's journey for years. Fans, who have invested emotionally in the family's lives, offer support and words of encouragement, which can be both comforting and overwhelming. But this modern approach to grieving isn't without its complications. The public nature of the posts exposes the family's raw emotions to the world, and with that comes scrutiny. While some fans may offer condolences, others take the opportunity to comment on the family dynamics or criticize how grief is being handled. The constant interaction with the public can complicate the healing process, blurring the line between personal grief and public performance. For the Browns, the balance between staying true to themselves and navigating the expectations of their followers is a delicate one. At times, social media feels like an extension of their grief, a place where they can express themselves, but also a space that holds them accountable to a public that is always watching. It's a modern form of mourning, where personal loss is shared with a global audience, leaving the family to navigate the healing process, not just in private, but under the weight of public expectation. Garrison's hobbies and interests, like his love for the movie Dragonheart and his passion for fishing, serve as crucial pieces of his legacy. These seemingly simple details hold profound meaning, especially in the wake of his untimely death. For the Brown family, these memories become a way to keep Garrison's spirit alive, even after he's gone. Dragonheart, a movie about the bond between a dragon and a knight, could symbolize Garrison's own quest for connection and adventure, something the family now holds dear as they remember him. Fishing, too, was more than just a pastime for Garrison. It was an activity that brought him peace, a way to bond with others, and a chance to connect with nature. These elements of his life become symbolic of who he was, and the family holds on to them as a way to preserve his essence. By reflecting on these moments, they find comfort in knowing that part of him lives on through the things he loved. It's often said that we're shaped by the things we cherish, and for the Brown family, these memories are a bridge to their lost loved one. Garrison's passions offer a glimpse into his personality and remind the family of the bond they shared, even as they struggle with grief. These moments, shared through stories, favorite movies, and the things we do together, become part of the family's history, ensuring that Garrison's memory will live on in their hearts and in the things he held dear. As the family quietly leaves the burial site, there's a palpable sense of both finality and beginning. The weight of Garrison's loss is still heavy, but there's something different in the air, something that hints at healing, even if it's just the smallest glimmer. As they walk away from the place where they laid their loved one to rest, each family member carries with them a mixture of sadness and newfound clarity. The Brown family's journey through grief isn't over. It's ongoing, and the road ahead will be filled with both struggle and growth. But through the pain, they've begun to understand what truly matters, being present for one another, letting go of past regrets, and finding the courage to love, even when it feels hard. The lessons learned from Garrison's life and death about family, love, and forgiveness will undoubtedly shape their future. And while the loss will forever be a part of them, it's clear that they're slowly finding their way, piece by piece. The family's future isn't defined by tragedy, but by the resilience they find in each other, carrying forward the lessons of love and remembrance that will live on in their hearts.